much of what you've done, tennis, PBR, college, football, IndyCar, probably wouldn't have happened if NASCAR hadn't lost, if ESPN hadn't lost NASCAR. And certainly because of what happened in the month of April 2017. Of course, that's when you got the call from ESPN. You were part of sort of all those layoffs. Do you remember the phone ringing and thinking, oh, shit, here it is?
Yep.
Was it early in the day? Was it like, because we all were following it. We knew that this was happening this day. It was sort of a weird way that they approached it. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, pretty crappy, if you want to know the truth. I was sitting at my little kitchen counter breakfast bar at my place in Florida. And, you see on social media, somehow these reporters all know that these things are happening today. And then the phone rings and you look down and it's 860-766 or whatever. And okay, that's an ESPN number. And my first two words to myself were, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you can say it. I said it.
Crap.
Hell,
Crap. Yeah. And you answer the phone and it's one of the senior vice presidents and it's somebody you've known for a long time and have a good relationship with. And you can tell that he has a script he's been given and there's an attorney or someone sitting there with him that won't let him deviate from that script. And
that's interesting. I didn't think about that when I got the call from Fox that there may have been someone from legal sitting there.
Oh yeah.
Having the, sitting there. I didn't even consider that. That's interesting.
It was, and I had friends that were part of the first and second rounds of layoffs there that were handled. I'll call it in an unfortunate way.
Yeah.
Like a guy that worked for the company for 30 something years being escorted from the building and told they'll go through his office and decide what's his and what's not and send it to him. So here's, you're having this phone call. I don't even think it lasted a minute and a half, and there are a lot of things that unfolded and a lot of conversations that unfolded afterwards. But basically, here was my reaction. Okay. 2.5 years ago, I had a choice to make of whether to stay with you guys or go with somebody else. And
you stayed.
The person in charge at the time said, hey, we need you. Stay with us. We'll make it fun for you.
Yeah.
And he did. I got to do things I never dreamed of in my life. But then he moved on. And now all of a sudden you're getting this phone call saying, yeah, we're going to take you off the air and pay you for the next few years. And you find out what it's all about. It's basically a financial maneuver to make Disney's spreadsheet look better for the following year. They're going to do all these funky things that somehow they're allowed to do and write everybody's salaries off to previous fiscal years.
Because you couldn't work during that time, right?
Right.
How many years did you have left on your contract?
2.5.
Because I know someone that had like 9 years left on their contract that had just signed like a huge deal and same thing, right? That, I know that there was a lot of interesting things that during that time about what you could and couldn't do.
And anybody else that you wanted to talk to about a job knew that they could bargain basement with you because, you got no leverage. You got no place to go. So, but, the end result was it was gut wrenching. It was heartbreaking. And I still had to go to work because they've told me, yes, but we still need you to do Indy. So now I've got to show up for the month of May for an organization that just told me we don't want you anymore. And
you're like you could go rogue on air and just like say anything you want.
Well, it's the rest of your career.
That's right.
But dealing with everyone that you deal with, from drivers to crew chiefs to mechanics to people in the TV crew and so on, and over and over and over and over and over again, you've got to have this same conversation with everybody, which is, man, that sucks. I hate that for you. And the thought that's going through your brain is, you hate it for me, but you've got a job June 1st and I don't.
Yeah.
And it's would I rather have been there than not? Of course, but it was difficult. It was awkward. And I'd like to tell you I'm over it, but I'm probably still not.
I get it. You know, I'm a year removed from being told from Fox that I wasn't coming back. And I remember, I mean, I got really drunk. I had to do a podcast immediately afterwards with a woman named Carla who works on the CW. And I had to do, like, I literally, my phone rings, it's you know who, and I didn't think that that's why they were at all. Race Hub had gone off the air, I think 24 hours prior. And I did not think at all that that's why. Not even, I had no way. And I get the word, and I have to literally 2 seconds later jump on a podcast, and I have to do this podcast or an interview with somebody. And it was funny because Larry McReynolds says to me, "You looked really upset about Martin Truex Jr. retiring. Like you looked really." I'm like, "You have no idea."
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it's a really scary thing because you feel like, I feel like you buy into this like idea that you're part of a family. And again, you get back to don't take it personal, but you do take it a little personal. And I do think that there's like, holy crap, this is what I thought I was going to do the rest of everything, right? This was everything. And now you've got to rethink it. I also, I buy into the theory, and you and I talked a little bit before we started, is I got to do it. Not like, oh my gosh, I'm no longer doing it. I got to do NFL for 8 years. That's longer than some players' careers.
Yeah.
You know, when I was at ESPN, I got to do 6 Duke Carolina games. When I was, you know, I got to host, I was able to host pre-race shows on Fox Sports. I mean, those are valuable things and memories that I take, and I don't go, oh my gosh, I don't get to do this anymore, because I know that there are things that are upcoming for me. Getting to do a full season of the Hornets was so amazing. Doing this, sitting here with you, having this conversation right now here with you would not have happened if I was still doing Race Hub and still doing NFL. And so those are kind of the things that I look at and go, there's a reason.
It's hard. All of us that do this, do it because we love it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
that's another thing. I wasn't ready to stop. Like when it stops,
right.
You're like, oh crap, like I'm not ready for it to stop.
Right. So all I have ever wanted to do my entire life, as far as I can remember, was be the guy on the radio or the guy on the television. From the time I've been old enough to remember. And I've lived that dream. But, you know, I've been around for a while, but I'm still relatively young. I'm in good shape. You know, I don't think my work stinks.
Your voice still sounds beautiful.
Thank you.
But
the business around you changes.
It does.
And, you know, one of the things that you have to have perspective on is we all get to live the dream, but the dream doesn't always have a fairy tale ending. You know, the dream doesn't have, for almost all of us, the dream doesn't have the ending where we get to say, okay, I'm retiring at the end of this year, and the last broadcast is the big send off. And think of how many people in this business you can think of that have actually done that.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
A handful, maybe.
That's great. But also then do you have the thought that you did the same thing for 20 years or 40 years or 50 years? And you worked with the same people and went to the same place. And yes, that's great. I'm sure the salary is great. I'm sure the consistency and the security and all that stuff is great. But at the same time, and this is just me looking at glass half full, now you get to do, like, you're forced to do it. It's not comfortable. It feels bad, but you get to do different things that you might not have had the opportunity to do if you had stayed there and retired, 50 years in the business. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I'm talking the business in general and on air, broadcasting on air. There are very few of us that get to pick our point of exit.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to understand that. Now, that doesn't make it any easier to take, but at some point you have to gain the perspective that saying, don't be sad it's over, be thankful that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely, I've gone places and done things and
my goodness,
spent my entire life living this dream. Was I ready for a lot of the more higher profile parts of that to to disappear? No. But what right do I have to complain?
No. Mm-hmm.
I don't,
Oh.
and if some other things that you're trying to chip away at don't happen to come about, I'm going to be the best damn Walmart greeter you ever saw.
And get to punch in and punch out and not have to worry about it. I know. I always say no one's going to feel sorry for me. I
Yeah.
just got to pull up my big girl boots. And I've said many times, like, yes, when one door closes and the next one will open, but it's really freaking dark in that room until that door opens.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that motto or statement.
Welcome to the show.